Yo, what's Gucci, guys? So today we're gonna be interviewing myself, aka Rust, aka Rusted Typology. We've gathered quite a few questions that you were guys curious about from the community, although you've been slacking heavily, so there was gonna be a punishment about that. But regardless, let's dive deep into the psyche of this deranged, fucked up personality, right? And find some truth underneath it all. It's not an easy interview, but obviously I'll try to be as honest as I possibly can, and if not, Alina here will make sure to dig deep and expose the truth, so we're ready.
What is your relationship with authority?
There's a mixture of feelings and experiences that I had that really made me a certain way in terms of authority. So a feeling of a certain subjugation, exploitation, and generally feeling of injustice, as a feeling of injustice, right? Feeling that idea that they can do those things to me, they can mistreat me, they can say shit to me, but when I try to fight back, I do something, suddenly it's not okay. Suddenly, oh, but you cannot do that because we are the parent and we can do this shit to you. It's like, how fucking unfair that is, right? The concept of that. So there's just a lot of feelings of injustice. My father would come to my room, just as one single example. He'd come to my room unannounced completely, and he'd say, why are you closing the door? You don't need the fucking door closed. You don't need privacy. Nothing you have is your own. Like, he would do this type of shit. So there's a lot of feeling, again, that the authority in question, all they do is restrict me. So there is a lot of dislike of being restricted, exploited, subjugated. There's a lot of restriction happening. And this is what really created my relationship with everything, right? Religions, institutions, school, fucking work, everything. Every single thing. So now I even had a long period where I just didn't want to be part of the corporate fucking fuckfest 9 to 5 bullshit. And I sacrificed stability, I sacrificed my security, I was willing to sacrifice everything just so I will be living on my own terms, just so I will answer to no one, just so I'm gonna live the way I wanna live. That was the focus of this. Now, when it comes to those restrictions, feeling like there was those restrictions and this subjugation, this does extend also to other people. So I cannot stand. That's why I don't like religions. I don't like those fucking ideologies, those things that basically subjugate people, basically restrict people from doing what, in a way, what as a human you're supposed to like, what you're supposed to do, but you cannot act on your natural impulses because of religion, because of people telling you, hey, this is not acceptable, you won't do it. My question is, who the fuck are you? That's always how it's been.
One of the most important things is that you be allowed to feel that you're given choice and freedom in whatever you're doing, and not have people pushing on you about things. That any decision that you make of your own free will.
Your own volition.
Autonomy is incredibly, yes, like autonomy is incredibly important to you.
Yes, autonomy
and
is big,
you have
big,
no
big.
toleration for people coming to you and saying, do this, do that.
Dude, and it's even as simple as someone. I remember I had this girl who was trying to give me advice. We were friends for a while, and she was giving me advice like about retirement and what I need to do, what I should do, how I should be more responsible. That was the last time I talked to the girl, because I was feeling so uncomfortable listening to it. She was a nice girl, always nice to me, but just that, I was like, fuck no. I'm not here to listen to this bullshit,
Next question is, how do you feel when people around you show weakness?
For me, there was a huge evolution of what is strong and what is weak. All the shit that in the past, strong was to dominate, strong was to take, strong was not to care. If you take something, you don't give a shit. Strong was to oppress and victimize rather than be oppressed and victimize yourself. That was strength. Anything that reinforced your own power was strength. But that's not true. That's misguided strength. That's your own ego. That's your own narcissism. That's not strength. Strength is something else. Nowadays, I think strength is to be honest, even with your own weakness, to be honest, to have empathy for people, to try to have empathy for people and be more compassionate. So I'm trying to evolve my perceptions on what is strength and what isn't strength. Now, the tendencies are still there, meaning it depends on my mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm not in that most, patient mood. I don't really have time for people's emotional problems. I don't really have time to sympathize or empathize with people's issues, I just think people should get over themselves and suck it the fuck up. That's how I think a lot of the time. When I'm again in this particular mood, in a more normal, like more open mood, I can try to offer help, try to be more understanding, and offer sympathy and empathy. Obviously, in my intimate relationship with you, that's the place that in my intimate relationships, that's when I'm obviously the most understanding. I try to be the most understanding, but even then, I can be perceived as sometimes as careless or dismissive. At my worst, I can be dismissive. So it's not the worst, but those traits do kind of stay there.
Definitely with me, you're way more tolerant of that kind of thing. Obviously, you're often very kind and understanding toward me whenever I might be struggling with something or might be very emotional. And I think that I think this can be a challenge for an 8 core being with a 4 because of 4s are
Yeah.
innately very vulnerable people.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's a good learning opportunity for both people in the dynamic. And yes, of course, it's true that you can have those traits of dismissiveness or intolerance or coldness, especially if you're just at your
I'm
like you have like a certain bandwidth. And if you go over that
yeah.
amount, it's like you don't really
I
have
don't
much
wanna I don't
left.
wanna deal with it. I get frustrated at people's problems,
Yeah.
and the big thing that with weakness is that there's a feeling of contempt. I can have a
Hmm.
feeling of contempt for people, contempt for people fragility. Again, do not be a hypocrite because we all cried, because we all fucking suffered, because we are human after all. So I try not to be stuck in my own fucking delusions.
So the next question is that you value strength above all else, yet you're impulsive as hell. How do you not see self-control as part of strength? Isn't being ruled by your impulses the worst kind of weakness?
From my perspective, being self-controlled, as you put it, might simply be viewed as being inhibited in my eyes. So many people who are like rigid, tense, self-controlled, my question is, why can't you let go? My question is, why can't you be free? My question is, why are you so afraid? Why are you so scared of acting a certain way? Why? The fact that I might say whatever the fuck I want to say and I might act however the fuck I want to act without any regard for any consequences, that might just reinforce my own narcissism, and maybe to me that is strength. And there's also perception that or other people, they wish to be free or they wish to say what the fuck I say, but they don't have the balls, or they're not free enough to say that shit. They're always they're enslaved by something. So there is this idea too.
So the next question is, you rebel against tyrants in the name of freedom, yet you often become a tyrant yourself. How does that contradiction make sense to you? Are you aware of the hypocrisy, or do you simply not care?
I definitely can be a hypocrite, and I don't like it. I don't like being a hypocrite. The thing is, a lot of what I do, what I say, how I react, what I am, is very instinctive. It's a very instinctive thing. There's no thought. There's no, I'm gonna think this through. If I thought everything through, I would not be the way I am. That's why you might see contradictions. You might see this hypocrisy. The thing is, when you react a certain way and then maybe someone tells me, like maybe you tell me, hey, you went too far, or you know how you always say this but you hate when people do this, and then you do this shit yourself, or you do this to people, but you cannot allow someone else to do this to you. That's hypocrisy. So when I hear that, I'm like, fuck, like I value not being hypocritical. So that's a big one for me now. But there's a catch there, because for my whole life I used to think the more neurotic I get, this is the mindset I fall into, which is, in fact, it's everyone else that's a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite. How can a person who goes out in the open and tells you I am vulgar, I'm mean, I don't give two fucks, right? I will say the most atrocious shit. How is a person who's so aware and so in the know of his own cruelties and his own viciousness or his own just badness, how can you say in that person's a hypocrite? In what way? I never pretended to be good. I never pretended to be nicer than I am. In fact, my most neurotic moments, I appeared worse than I actually was. That aligned with the worldview. I'm not the hypocrite. All of you are. Because look at the performative moral outrage people have, especially in today's society, which is, the ethical moral outrage. I know people don't give a fuck. I know it. I know they don't. And they only pretend to care because it's, again, socially accepted. You need to... So it disgusts me. It makes me sick to my fucking stomach because I wish everyone would just stop fucking bullshitting. Like, stop this, like, we live in this society of cancellations. It's performative. It means nothing. Those people don't give a fuck about anyone.
I mean, I think that it's respectable when somebody admits those things. I do agree. I think that obviously there are a lot of people out there who will pretend to be a certain way. They will pretend that they care about certain societal norms in order to get social points.
Oh yeah, very common.
And I don't really see the point in morality unless it's true and genuine to who you are, and you do it because you believe in it, not because of some kind of social
it's like
expectation.
Okay, and we see this in cancellation in society, right? With social media, they cancel people. Everyone's like, oh, he did this thing, they did this thing, they said this, and it's now everyone's acting outraged by something so fucking stupid that genuinely deep down no one actually gives a fuck about. And maybe even they all think this same thing, but they don't want to admit to it. So they are lynching this person who said it. But deep down they're like, deep down they have the same thoughts, but they will not say it. So it's fucked. It's so fucked.
But you mentioned that when it comes to the hypocrisy thing, that you did recognize that in yourself later.
I recognized hypocrisy in another form, which was, hey, I can impose shit on you, I can violate you, I can disrespect you, but you cross my boundaries, I will fucking decapitate you. That's how it was. I was a hypocrite in the way I treated people, I would never allow myself to be treated that way, which is, in a sense, the greatest form of hypocrisy. So in that sense, I was hypocritical.
When you express love, do you ever feel like you're manipulating people, or is it genuine affection?
When I hear the word love, it's a very serious word, and what I mean by that, we call that tender love. Tender love, which means it's genuine. There's a tenderness to this love, right? Expressing this affection. I would tell you that I've never fucking manipulated a single person with the notion or idea that I express true love. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And the reason is I don't give this tenderness and this love to just anyone. No one just comes in and I start using it like a fucking, like it's a whore. You just throw it around, fucking just use it, take it. It's sacred. It's an important thing. And not only that, it does relate to tenderness, which does have to do with vulnerability. So I don't think you're gonna be so eager to just give it and feed it to everyone. So in that sense, no. What I could do, especially when I was neurotic, is to affection could be utilized in a way to satisfy myself, to get what I want, and that could work in a way. And it's not like with a purpose. I'm gonna use this person. I'm gonna fucking exploit them. Not. You are a person who doesn't introspect, right? In that moment when it happens. So, and you are a person driven by your own desire to get what you want. So naturally, you will go through life getting what you want. You might not be reflecting on it, but you're in the moment doing it.
Why do you feel the need to dominate the atmosphere when you enter a room? You don't necessarily start fights, but you seem to want everyone's attention. What drives that?
True instinctual answer to it is that it feels good. The true answer is why, when I was neurotic, when I was younger, why in my neurosis I would stir the biggest drama. Everywhere I went, every place I went, every group I was part of, every community, every friend group, doesn't matter, there was fucking drama. That's what was happening. Causing conflict, stirring controversy, at the point where it was harmful to me, but I didn't care. It was harmful to me and I didn't see it. So why would I do that? Why would I put myself in the fucking forefront, say the crazy shit? I'm vulgar and just fucking crazy. Why would I do that? It makes me feel alive, because my biggest issue was being bored. My biggest issue was this crippling fucking sense of emptiness that I just wanted to just feel something. And the way I would deal with it is by seeking conflict. But the way I would deal with it is to be in the midst of chaos, be in the midst of all of this stimulation. So I'll put myself in it. You're not only there, you're dominating the place. You're in a group of 10 people, 4 people, 5 people. You're the one speaking. They're listening. You're the one dictating the flow. You're the one poking. Poke at this, poke at that. Push this, break this. You're doing all of that. So that makes you feel fucking excited. It's excitement. It's feeling like you're actually stimulated, like you are alive. It's a strong feeling, and it's addictive, that's the problem. Because when you're neurotic, you do it more, and it's more addictive, and it reinforces everything. And there's this idea of dominating everything. That makes you feel fucking good. Again, it's pleasure. It's fucking pleasure. That's the conscious, clearly opinion that I have. It makes me feel good. If we look at actual, like more psychological and more objective view, I think what we're gonna see is that it's also an attempt to ward off vulnerability. That's what I think. I think my exhibitionism, my very intense nature, is a way to counteract vulnerability. So that's why I dictate. That's why I am the one who needs to be at the forefront of things, because that is how it probably makes me feel. I counter feeling maybe of powerlessness. I don't know, because I don't feel in touch or in contact with those emotions or feelings, but I understand. I know human psychology enough, and that pattern would make sense to me. So that's my idea on that.
Yeah, because it's like if you go into a room and you're the loudest, most expressive, most intense person there, all eyes are on you and you're in control of the social
Exactly,
sphere.
right?
You're the one in charge of everything. And in that way, you avoid feeling powerless, maybe even feeling uncomfortable because of all of the people that are there. You avoid any forms of social anxiety. You don't have to worry about these things because you are expanding with your energy. Basically.
And you know what's
You're
crazy?
taking off everything.
It's so crazy, because I read in the Sexual Aid book, which I never thought it's so accurate to me, about how the type will mask social phobia with like contempt and mistrust, which is crazy, you know.
Yes.
But I was obviously growing up as a very, very isolated child, but any kind of vulnerability will be counted by domination. That's simple.
How does your possessiveness in close relationships show up? Do you experience it as intensity or fear? How neurotic does it get, and how do you manage it?
I mean, that's the biggest question, right? That's the biggest question of the sexual aid possession. Is it intensity or fear? I would actually say it's both. It's actually both. You need to understand the history. You need to understand the relationships I would have growing up to really, you would start seeing a pattern. So let's start relationship with my parents. I didn't have a close relationship, emotional relationship with my father. I had a very close relationship with my mother. Very close. We were inseparable. And it was a very emotionally deep relationship. Now with age, obviously, when you get older, I became more distant. I became more, because of the abuse I was experiencing and all the shit that made me cut everything off. And I'm going to talk about that later. But I remember I was 5 years old, 6 years old. I had a parrot. I wanted a parrot. Someone to talk to, in a sense, I guess. Like an animal to talk to. And I got 2 parrots that were like those, like lovebirds or some shit, you know. I don't remember how long I had those parrots for, but I remember going to Italy with my parents, and I told my grandmother, feed them and take care of those parrots, you know, they're my parrots. And I come back, one of them is dead. So I was fucking crushed by that, you know. I was very, very crushed by this. It hurt me a lot. And I was very angry, you know, because I thought, you know, she fucking did it. She didn't feed them. She didn't feed my parrot as she should have. But I think not long after, the other one died too. So I buried them both. So you have already a certain pattern, you know. I didn't have as much connection at my school, but my strong connection was with this animal, because I was abroad quite a bit as a young kid. But then after this part, I got a dog. 7-8 years old, I got a dog, and a menace. This dog was a fucking menace, biting everyone. But for me, never bit me. He never bit me. We played hard, but he never bit me. The most fucked up thing about this story is that I had this dog for a long time, for quite like a few years, and then we gave it away. My parents gave it away. So at that time I didn't even realize how fucked up really the concept is to give a child a dog, a puppy, and then the dog grows up with you to a degree, right? I don't know how old I was, 11 maybe, when we gave it away, and then you just give it away. It's crazy. I realized actually recently how fucked up that is. But I remember being crushed again. I remember fucking going around running behind the house and crying, you know. And I remember my aunt, my mother, they come to me and they look at me like, oh, you know, this silly kid, like, they have this pity for you, but this kind of like, oh, this silly child, he's sad, like, oh, poor him. It's not really, you know, it's not the right fucking reaction, I think. Those relationships, I severed, lost them, right? And then you see this transferred itself into peers, into school when I was a bit older now, like 11, 12. I wanted a best friend. I wanted my own best friend because everyone has someone to sit with in their class. So I wanted my own best friend. I got to know this one guy who was new in the class. We even he was friends with this other dude. They used to sit together, but I was like, okay, I'll try to befriend him because we live very close. So we met in person. Like I went to his house. We had fun, and I was thinking, finally, bro, like I might actually have my own best friend. We might sit together. We might do everything together. That was so fucking cool. I come to school, and I see he's still fucking sitting with this guy. Like he's not initiating anything with me. He doesn't give a shit. So I was like, okay, you know, fuck it. I moved on. I had another friend. Around this time, I think I was 11, 12. And that kid was my neighbor. We were friends for a long time, did everything together again, play games, fuck around, like do crazy shit. But one time I remember he came to me, he had a birthday, and I couldn't be present on his birthday because I had my own family over, so I couldn't do it. And he's like, yo, you know, fuck you, you didn't come, and that was the last time we talked. But those are the relationships you start seeing very early on with my life. First time I had a crush on a girl, I was 11, 12 years old. All I could think about is her, you know, like it was even then it was such an obsessive attitude that really no one else mattered. No one else really was no one else existed. And I would think about her for even, I think, 4 or 5 years into the future, you know, which even though we went complete separate ways, I would still think about her. But you saw the types of relationships I was looking for. Like I was always looking for that fucking intense one-on-one experience. And all of my relationships, the important one that I really, really, really wanted and really wanted to value, I lost them. And that's the key fucking trait here. I lost those fucking relations. So another important thing is, because now we're going to get into the relational stuff, is to understand that for me, I had very few real committed relationships, and most of this shit was relationships that were just not committed. They weren't serious in nature. They weren't really places that I truly let myself go, truly opened myself towards those people. So it's important to know this distinction because it's going to be useful. In my earlier relationships, again, those genuine relationships, I would throw myself in, just like I always did. And I would be consumed by this person, constantly think about them, and there's no education that matter, no future that matter. I didn't give a fuck about money, I didn't give a fuck about anything. I just wanted to think, just to have them. That's why I wanted to have them. And I had the same expectation, obviously, right? I wanted this person to match the same intensity. I wanted the same intensity to be matched. Like as someone who, maybe without me, they don't know how they might operate. Without me, if they lost me, they would be fucked up. That kind of the idea of this devoted fucking thing that's based on this devotion and loyalty. It was everything. And I would be consumed by it. And I would have those kind of expectations in a sense of how an actual relationship looks like. Which to me, that was a relationship. If you are less than that, that's not real. That's bullshit. And when it comes to possession we start seeing patterns, because there was many patterns where the person maybe they made me feel a certain type of way. Maybe I felt that the person didn't have the same devotion. They didn't match the same intensity as I would. So my reaction would be I would feel some type of way about it. I'm like, it would bother me. But the thing is, for many people, maybe when they get bothered, they would express it. For me, everything was always anger. Everything would change and transform into angry feelings. So the fact I was feeling this way about this person, maybe they don't care. You message them or you do something, they take a long time. They don't seem interested. They don't want to spend the time with you because you want to spend 24/7 with them. Maybe, and then they want to go out weekly. You don't like that. You don't appreciate that because you want to spend time with this person. Then they go out every fucking week. They talk to their friends maybe every other day and they talk for hours. And that only makes you angry. The fact that this happens, that the fact that those people are taking away something that's yours, it only fuels you with those feelings, those emotions that you can't control. Your whole fucking body is like a fucking trembling mess, and you feel so much fucking rage and anger at the situation. So instead of being a normal person that can deal with maladaptive and with certain emotions, you cannot communicate it well. Like, hey, I wish we could do this. I wish you maybe paid more attention. I wish you were, we could spend more time. And I know to those people we spend enough time. I know that with those people we spend enough time. But for me, it's not enough. It had to be that kind of level. So the way I would deal with it, instead of addressing it like, please, can we do this? Like, I feel this way. I would just say, don't fucking do that. Like, I don't want your fucking friends interfering with our relationship. Like, I'm not gonna have this shit happen. Like, if I tell you that I wanted to spend time with you at this time, we're gonna fucking do that. And all of this would transform into an aggressive domination over the other person, which is fucked up because I would be, again, loving, but at the same time, when those things happen, I would become punishing. I would become aggressive. I would become cold. I would become dismissive. And in a fucked up way, even though you do believe you love this person, you believe you care about them so much, at the same time, how can you love them so much if you disregard their needs and their feelings, which I did. I disregarded their feelings because why? And that's what happened. That's what happened. And so those were the things that would happen with relationships. The fusion, the intensity of the fusion, but also the criticality. I could be very critical of the other person. I could be intolerant of weakness too. And it's just a fucking mess. There's another thing with age that happens when you experience enough betrayal and desensitization becomes even stronger. You don't want to feel those things anymore. So now you're not having those types of relationships. In fact, at some point maybe you think you can't even love. At some point in your life you think, can I even fucking love? But you're clearly seeking something, because I was always seeking people. Always. Fucking always. Now the difference is this possession manifested in a more, I don't want to say cold way, because not really, but it was a simple game of you submit to me, you obey by my fucking law, you do what the fuck I say. And if it's clear, if I see and I sense that this is a clear message that this person takes a submissive role with me, I have no issues. I'm chilling. It's easy time. But if I sense defiance, if I sense the person defying me, it then creates this reaction. I need to dominate the other person and I punish them. You want my attention? I'll take my attention away. I'll take everything just so you will submit. That's the attitude. And at that point, I don't give a shit about like if they love me or don't love me. I care about respect. I care about them being loyal. I care about them being devoted. But love and shit like that, that's not on my mind. Because after all of those experiences and you're still seeking this shit, you're still seeking something, you don't know what the fuck you're seeking. Right? Deep down, you're probably seeking love. But you don't allow yourself to be in touch with that vulnerability. In my mind, it's so fucked up because it's like, all you had to do is to listen to me. Like, if you listen to me and you approach me a certain way, it'll be fine. Like, just do that and I'm gonna be great. That's how it was. To me, it was simple. So there's this fucked up justification that happens when all of this is happening. You have this tenderness, because to be truly tender, you need to be vulnerable, and love is more than just respect and loyalty. Love is more than just that. But when you're so traumatized, when you're so neurotic, there's no access to those things for other people, to the point where even you are not sure if you have it anymore. So that's how it feels. The truth is that being with you and having that relationship, it evolved those things. I let go of those things, and I let go of this domination, who submits to who, this bullshit, because it doesn't allow you to truly love another person. Because to love and to be connected with love, you need to be opened. And right now we are at the stage where we were for a very long time, where I don't mind. I feel like I let go, is how I feel.
Yeah, I would say that your struggles with possession and really wanting to completely bond with the other person, it was benefited by the fact that when we first met, I also had a similar desire, and a romantic ideal was always the biggest priority for me, even as a self-preservation subtype, but I'm still an Enneagram 4, so this was very important for me. So when we were together, we met in this regard.
And that's what really complemented each other. For me, it was very important. I want to understand you in a way that no one else did, like your poetry, your everything. It was very important for me to have that type of it wasn't just, people think it's just the body, anyone can take possession of a body, but it is everything else. And truly understand the person, how they fucking tick, is really the amazing thing.
In the book, sex states are described as seeking and even forcing intimacy, not only in romance, but also in friendships. How does that show up for you?
So, as you heard, I had those intense friendships, wanting those friendships, So that is definitely true. And at some point, I had a friend. We were friends for 10 years, actually, into my early 20s. And it was like brothers. That's how it was. It was like brothers. And for me, it was always that position, that one person that I could have friends. But it was that one person who, it just is different. It just is different. We would do everything together, bro. We would talk every single day for 10 years. Like, we went through shit. If I went through shit, he went through shit. Okay? If conflict happened, I was involved, he'd be involved. And that's the type of bond we had, this type of connection. And it's obviously hard to replicate that connection when you meet someone at the age of 15 and you know them for 10 fucking years. It's hard. And now I'm in a position where obviously I have friends. I have many friends. I'm open with my friends, but the truth is that there's only ever a place for one. There's only ever a place for a person that I have this kind of understanding, which I do with my best friend Reza. We understand each other like brothers. There is such a like-mindedness. He is an SP8, and the way we benefit each other, the way we can help each other, the way we understand each other. At the end of the day, in a sense, growing up the way we did, the vicious environments and the vicious experiences, people might not understand that, but we do understand that. And even when we have fucked up impulses maybe, or whatever, we understand that. And maybe society will not, but we do. So that creates a very visceral relationship.
How aware are you of that pattern, and how do you see and how do you work on letting others truly see you beyond your differences?
So, I don't know about the first part of the question, but how do I let other people see me beyond my defenses? Even with my friends, I think writing an autobiography and showing them this autobiography is a good step. So, vulnerability is very difficult because you don't feel it. The most annoying part of being this type is that I feel zero self-awareness in my emotions. I feel no awareness of how I feel. When I feel it, I have no awareness of my suffering, which doesn't mean I don't have feelings. It doesn't mean I don't act on my feelings, but I just don't know what the fuck is going on inside of me. Like, I have no idea. The best way I can do is to take very deliberate action that exposes parts of myself. Like, my life, those fucked up things, or even making an interview and talking about it, like to try to show those things deliberately, to then create that deeper connection so they can understand me better.
What wounds have you suffered, learned from, that make you intolerant of intimacy despite yearning for it?
I mean, everything, bro. Like fucking everything. Like my relationships with early relationships with people, betrayal, my parents, my fucking losing my fucking animals, everything. But most importantly, obviously, it's my relationship with my parents, which was crucial in making me the way I am. You know, when you're a child, you yearn for acceptance, you yearn for love, you yearn for recognition. And my father was a corrective individual, very fucking rigorous, choleric type of a guy. I wanted him to be proud at the time. But the truth is, the pride never comes. The truth is that those people will never. You always get humiliated. You always get shit. You always get fucking drowned. You always get mistreated. It's always your fault. So after a while, what happens is that to protect yourself, because you feel so much pain, you feel so much fucking suffering, you feel so horrible, right? You feel like, why is he treating me this way and he's not treating my like my other stepbrothers? He never treat my other stepbrothers this way. Like, why am I so fucked up that he treats me this way? As a kid, you know, you're thinking this. And with time, you hate those emotions so fucking much. You hate this feeling of, why do I give a fuck? You know, Jesus Christ, why do I give a shit? So after a while, what happens is, you say fuck that. You say fuck that. They have their plans, what you need to be, what education you need to have, or church, religions, what this, what that. So after a while you say, listen, fuck that. I don't want their love. I don't want people's love. I don't want people's acceptance. I don't want people's like, dislike. I don't give a shit. You stop caring about humanity. You stop caring about this human aspect, this dependency that you had, this dependency of being fucking human. You castrate that. You remove that from yourself. At least from the awareness of your mind, from the awareness. That doesn't mean you don't have it. You're fucking blind. That led me to act out in many ways. I was irresponsible in school. My parents acted even worse towards me, which only then reinforced this cycle. I'm bad, so I'm gonna be bad, and that's what's gonna happen, you know. They didn't show me empathy. The world didn't show me empathy. I'm not gonna have fucking empathy for the world, you know. They didn't show me remorse. I'm not gonna have fucking remorse. So that's the story, and those were, we can say, the wounds that happened. And it desensitizes you, because I see myself treating other people the way I was treated, even, you know, like treating other people with the same insensitivity and coldness that I was treated. And I don't think that's good. I think that's very, if I can be really fucking honest, I think that's cringe. I think an abused person becoming an abuser is very pathetic. So for me, and that's what it was. It was that. The realization of the truth. The realization of the brutal truth, which is, you're just acting the fuck out because you've been harmed, you know. And I realize it now. And I make peace with it. But that's basically the life.
Do you consider yourself a sensitive person? If so, in what ways does that sensitivity show up in your thoughts, emotions, or interactions?
So I would never call myself a sensitive person, mainly because a sensitive person to me means someone easily wounded, someone easily overwhelmed by life, someone easily, things get to them, things. And for me, I just don't feel that, you know, like, of course, I'm biased, you know, I'm not very aware of my inner workings, whatever the fuck happens, so I'm not very aware of it. And most of the human experience, feelings, I feel like they just manifest themselves as anger. So if I feel some type of way, I'm gonna get angry. I'm not gonna start, oh wow, you know, I'm not sensitive, you know. I'm not sensitive in the way. You know, if anything, I think people are sensitive. That's how I feel. That's how I genuinely feel. Now, my own biases and my own opinion. The truth is that the reality, you know, can you be a person who goes through having those feelings and emotions and this intensity, and then get traumatized, and all of it gets like fucking intertwined in this fucked up way? Can you be a person who's truly like not sensitive? I don't think so. I think it manifests differently. I think it just manifests as anger. It just manifests as a certain way. Maybe many people, if they get hurt, they will feel hurt. Oh, I'm hurt, you know, like I might not know I'm hurt, but I'm gonna maybe become cold. Maybe I'm gonna become withdrawn, and you're gonna see a difference. You're gonna see that I'm not interacting as much, and I'm cold. And I genuinely feel okay. I genuinely feel like I'm not hurt. I genuinely feel like nothing happened. But that's the most annoying part, yeah.
I would describe you more as a insensitive person than a sensitive person. And that you don't really have much, like you said, you really don't have any awareness of what's going on internally. So even if you are actually hurt by something that was said by another person, your awareness of that is going to be absent. And it will just manifest as you withdrawing, becoming cold, or even reacting with anger. Through the worldview that you have as an 8 core, you've probably ended up hurting people, even some who didn't deserve it. How do you reconcile with that?
I don't. I mean, that's the name of the game. But coping ensues. But that's how I feel. Like there's nothing to reconcile. That's the world that we live in. That's the life we live in. But I think the best thing I can do. You know what? Fuck this question. Like I don't even know. How can I answer this question? There's nothing to reconcile.
The question is asking, how do you genuinely feel about like people that you've hurt in the past who didn't deserve it? How do you reconcile that with who you are now, and how you wouldn't want to be that person now? You know, it's a good question.
Okay, well, I'll answer it then.
You gotta try and actually tap in and be honest, but also allow for a little bit of vulnerability on this, because I've heard you answer this to me one-on-one, not an interview format, and you answered me much differently than you are now.
Okay. So I think, man, fuck, this is typical. This is typical, but, oh man, I genuinely feel like I don't, there's nothing to reconcile. I genuinely feel like there's nothing to reconcile. But, okay. There were times I feel like having a regret, having remorse over the way I treated some people, you know, the way I treated people, fucking some people, the way I treated people, you know, it's just fucking overall, it's honestly unacceptable. It was unacceptable, and it made me feel like it wasn't right. It made me feel like it wasn't right. So that's the truth. The truth is that there was some situations where I felt, especially, you know, right now, like growing, that it was just that I would not say those things to this person again, that I wouldn't treat them the same way, that it's really fucked up, you know. It's kind of hard to believe that I would do that, actually. So yeah, I guess that fucking ends. Is this the answer? Is this good?
This is a good answer. I have another question, but this is off script. I wonder what you would say to how you were at your most unhealthy as you are now. What would you say to yourself if you could see that version of yourself?
Crazy. I would say it's crazy. Of course, some of the similarities are still there. You know, I'm a vulgar person. I'm in the attention. I'm you know, I say crazy shit, but I just cannot believe I would think the same things. Like have a belief that, oh, if you listen to me, everything is gonna be okay, and let me fucking do this shit to you. It's like, it's crazy. It is so irrational. I cannot believe it. So I cannot ever act. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could be in a position to do that again.
What advice do you think you would give yourself?
Because I was stubborn. I did not believe in the karma. I didn't believe in fucking anything. But I would tell myself, right now you have no shame. Right now you don't give two fucks. Right now you don't give a shit. It's great, you know, like morality and all that bullshit. You treat people however you want. You're not gonna feel guilty. You're not gonna feel remorseful. So there's nothing. You can do as you wish, but that there will be a day when you're gonna fucking wake up and you're gonna look back and think, you know, none of this shit makes sense. You're unhinged. And most importantly, I would tell myself you were nothing more than a person who was coping. You know, like you were struggling with your past. You were struggling with grief. You were struggling with many things. So that's why. And even though you never would see it that way, you were a coper, just like anyone else. Just like you terrorized people for being copers, you were the biggest fucking coper. In fact, I think like right now, I would, if I saw myself, I would tell him the truth, you know, the fucking brutal truth. He wouldn't like it. He'd probably call me names, you know, yeah, but yeah.
You know, I think one of the really great things about having been where you were and being somebody who could be so harsh toward other people is that because you have evolved from that and you've grown and you've worked on yourself, it puts you in a position where you can talk to other people who are similarly intense, reactive, hostile, and you can understand them and approach them in a way that a lot of other people wouldn't be able to. And that, I think, is one of the big benefits of your type once it actually works on healing and self-growth, is how much it can benefit others who are similarly hostile, because a lot of other people wouldn't be able to approach them on the same level because they have never been that way. They don't know what it's
I
like
don't think
to be that way.
I always say I don't think people get that. Like I genuinely feel like very different in a sense where I don't think people can operate on the way I did. I don't think people can really. I know that people sometimes think, oh yeah, I get it, you know, you were mean and but I don't think other people cannot really fucking grasp that the world that you live in. It's a that's why, you know, Reza, he understands it. He lived it. He knows. And many people cannot live in that world. It scares them, terrifies them, you know, so.
Do you feel a strong connection with animals or nature, like an instinctive understanding of them?
Of course, I talked about, you know, my animals when I was young, so clearly there's a pattern with that. With nature, it's interesting, but nature is the place. Obviously, you know, we go on walks. We like to go on walks. We like nature, and I remember saying that what I would really want, ideally, if I had all the money in the world, it is to make a house in the middle of the forest, somewhere in the woods, make a beautiful house. So for me, there's something. I don't like the noises. I don't like I get overstimulated, which is ironic, right? Because I need that constant stimulation, but it's a specific stimulation. And sometimes I want peace. Sometimes be free from all the bullshit and be free from people. Most importantly, I just wanna get the fuck away from the people. I wanna get the fuck away from the noise. You know.
You know what my personal take is on eights, and they're like how in the SXA it's described how they have this affection for nature and also for animals, and they feel a connection. It's the same reason why many eights, while being incredibly harsh and hostile toward a lot of people, will refuse to be this way toward children. And I think that it's because there is always
the child is innocent. The child is innocent.
Yes.
The child has not seen the cruelties and the viciousness and the fucked upness of the world. In a sense, the child is not part of the world that I live in.
Exactly, and I think that for the eight, that in a sense, what they're trying to do is they're trying to retrieve the lost innocence, and that's why they can find peace in nature. That's why they can feel affinity with animals. That's why they can be so protective of children, or those that they perceive as defenseless or helpless. Especially when they're more healthy, they are going to be more protective of people that they perceive as being victims of injustice. Do you ever become physically violent when you're at your most emotional and unhinged?
No. Obviously, I know people expect a sexual aid to be a violent character, meaning like beating motherfuckers left and right. And I'm not gonna lie to you that yes, there's many people and many examples of the character who are violent, physical, and stuff. For me,
Kowalski.
Yeah, right. I do not have that kind of tendency or propensity towards. It's gonna start hitting a person or people close to me. Never had that issues. In my relationships, never had that issues. Violence is just not a problem, you know. And people might be like, "Oh, you know, that's weird." It's not really weird because the point is that the eight is violent, but that doesn't necessarily mean they will be violent physically. We know Pablo Picasso was incredibly psychologically violent to the point where many women were committing suicide because of him. So I'd say yes, you can be an 8 core and you can be a fucking wacko, not necessarily physically violent, you know. So, but no, I'm not like crazy fucking. Oh my god, start going crazy.
How do you overcome the extreme boredom that your type experiences?
I talked about this very often. The boredom, the fucking boredom, the boredom, the boredom. And honestly, I'll tell you this: there's boredom that normal people feel. Everyone feel like I feel bored, okay? But and then there's this other boredom which I felt, which is existential boredom. It's a boredom that runs so fucking deep. You have to do something, and my way of doing it was to cause conflict. My way of doing it is to be in this midst of chaos. It's I just want as much action and I want as much shit to happen as possible. Like it's fucking crazy. Like I remember people being like, "Dude, this is too toxic." Like in situations where there's so much fucking toxicity, most normal humans would fucking deteriorate, their psyche would break. But for me, I was like, this is normal. Like the threshold was so fucking high. I was living, you know. So there's that. But I realized, bro, that is unhealthiness. That points to feeling of lack of fulfillment. That points towards feeling a lack of inner joy, lack of. Imagine being so fucking empty you compensate by this fucking constant devouring of life in this intense interpersonal sense. So I realized I was not content. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't a happy person. I was an antagonistic fucking asshole. There's nothing healthy about that. So once I was on my transformation and growth journey, funnily enough, this boredom started going away. And I was able to challenge my energy and my passion into things that benefit my life. And that's kind of what happened. Like I no longer feel this problem.
How do you reconcile your desire for intimacy with your denial of vulnerability? Since intimacy, by definition, requires being vulnerable.
That's true. And this is what happens when I was talking about my childhood, about those relations I had with my mother, with my this, with my that. This intensity, this seeking connection is there from the beginning, but it gets butchered and fucking castrated, intertwined with this defense mechanisms. It gets intertwined with this hardness, and now you have a very fucked up duality, very fucked up. And it's funny you say intimacy and this seeking this intimacy, because love makes you vulnerable, and this is true because I even remember it was a conscious thought, how after some of the serious relationships I had, it took a toll on me to the point where I knew in my head, like, listen, like love makes your fucking legs go limp. Love makes you fucking go jelly. You act in love in a way you would never act. You act in love and you allow in love for what you'd never allow in. That's like if there's one place you are weak, it is in love. So this mindset only then reinforced, like, I wanna protect this. I wanna protect myself. So then you're protecting yourself from it. You're not trying to have that tenderness towards other people. You might connect with them sexually, you might connect with them some type of way, but you're not connecting with them with your heart, with your true heart, even though you're looking for it, even though you're seeking something, you don't know what, from jump around from relationship to relationship, the arousal, the attraction, this energy, it keeps you stimulated, it keeps you alive. But then once you have it, you feel like, what the fuck, I don't feel shit, I don't give a fuck about this, I move on. And it creates this fucked up cycle. But at the end of the day, you're seeking something. You're seeking that fucking union. You're seeking that relationship because you've been fucking oriented towards that since you were young.
I can actually relate to you a lot on that one. I experienced it very similarly.
You know, with my relationship with Alina, it's not like I have to struggle with expressing affection or intimacy or anything, like it's not an issue. Once this happens with a person, it happens with the person. It's not like I'm always like, oh my god, I don't know how to express myself. No, fucking I have no issues, because once I'm there. But it's a rare occurrence in my life.
Hard to get there.
It's very rare.
Yeah. What do you see as the strengths of your Enneagram type? How do these qualities benefit you personally, the people around you, or society at large?
I allow and I help people to be more true with themselves, more true to who they are, who they want to be. I think that's an important part. To allow themselves to express themselves in the way they want to express themselves, and not to be subjugated by their family's desires, by their cultural desires, by their whatever desires. That should not let them define them. So I try to instill confidence in people. That's why I was doing my channel, because I don't want people to be sheep. I don't want people to just listen to everything fucking Andrew Tate, or how you need this diploma to be worthy, how you need money to be worthy. You don't need money to be worthy. You don't need any diplomas to be worthy. You don't need shit. The only thing you need is to express yourself authentically. Authentically. Fucking authentically, motherfucker. That's what I want to say. But that's what I want to instill in people. Like, no, man, like those parents telling you need this, you need that. No. Middle finger. I feel like that's what this type can benefit people, like, again, instilling this confidence in people. And also, I feel like making people face reality. Like, I see that most humans have a tendency to want to relate to being good. There's an idea of being a good person, and you see this in society. I'm a moral person, I'm a good person, and that's why what stops them from acknowledging the abuse, what stops them from acknowledging the damage they have done to people. Why? Because they can't. Their ego will break by saying, you know what, I was a degenerate, you know what, I was a piece of shit, I gave no fucks. How many people can do that? So I think this type will force you to face the realities of your life, will force you to face who you are, that all you need to tell me is to tell me the truth, which is, I know you're a degenerate, which is, I know you abused those people, you were a parent and then you abused your children. You can lie all you want, but I know the truth. And you are able to confront the person when they face this truth. Because by admitting to it, in a way you're living in the truth. You're living the truth. And there is a certain way of respect to be gained. If you've done those things, if you've been a certain way, facing those things is already the biggest thing you can do. Facing those things is the most important thing. To me, facing it as what it is and calling it as what it is the most important thing and what you should do.
I think that we have a lot of examples of SX8s in media that aren't the most healthy manifestations, but there is an example of an SX in a movie called Dinner in America that I think showcases a lot of the traits that you're talking about in a more positive fashion. Simon's character, and he is kind of crazy and he's kind of a mess, but something really good about him is the amount of how much he wants to help. What's her name? I forgot.
I don't know, this girl, right? The girl, whatever her name fucking is. I mean, I don't know.
Patty,
yeah, shit.
Patty. How much he wanted to help her, and how he saw her being taken advantage of by society, and society basically trying to subjugate her and put her down and force her to be a fake version of herself. And even though his methods were extreme, you could see that his ultimate goal was to help her, and to help her basically be herself and speak up for herself. And even if that meant completely rebelling and putting the middle finger up to her very normative and oppressive family and society as a whole, especially since she was constantly being abused and so on. And I liked his character because, to me, he was a good example of an SX8 who's not the most healthy, but still shows a lot of positive characteristics, and you can kind of see in him how the SX8 could actually benefit those around them.
You should guys watch this movie, Dinner in America. It's twisted, but it's funny, and it's really good. It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's actually very romantic as well. Really,
yeah, it's very romantic. Yeah. Guys, Shit, that shit was hard. That shit was fucking hard. But just like the SAT program, motherfuckers, the sexual in the program, I think this is gonna be good for me, growing experience or something. So, yeah. Again, guys, if you have any more questions in the comment section about the type, write them down below. We're gonna answer them. I'm gonna answer them for sure and give you my take. Anyway, we're out, we're chows, and we're bouncing.